It was a bright Saturday afternoon when 10-year-old Leah finished her art class at the community center. Walking with her friends through the park, she laughed and chatted, their voices filling the air with an innocent, carefree energy. The weekend had finally arrived, and they were savoring every moment before heading home. As they strolled, two neighborhood security guards stationed nearby noticed them. These guards, Miller and Jonas, were hardened by years of routine patrol, often quick to assume the worst when seeing groups of kids from the surrounding apartments. Miller nudged Jonas, nodding toward Leah and her friends. "Did you catch that girl glancing over here, grinning like she's got something to hide?" His voice was tinged with suspicion, and Jonas, ever ready to agree, muttered, "Kids today know respect. Let's go remind them who's in charge around here." Without further thought, the two guards approached, their sudden presence casting a tense shadow over the group. Leah and her friends, sensing the abrupt change in mood, stopped talking and looked up, unsure of what was happening. Leah, still holding onto a paper airplane she'd made in class, gave the guards a polite smile, thinking they might just tell them to move along or to watch their noise. But Miller's voice was harsh. "Think you're clever, don't you?" he sneered. "Playing around and ignoring us?" Leah's smile faded. "We didn't mean any harm, sir. We were just talking." "Oh, I'm sure," Miller scoffed. "But maybe a bit of time with us will teach you to think twice before showing such disrespect." Without giving her a chance to explain, he took hold of Leah's arm firmly, his grip startling her. Her friends watched in alarm, frozen in shock. Finally, Max, a quiet but brave boy, took off running toward Leah's home, determined to get her mother's help. At the community station, the guards placed Leah on a bench by the front desk, exchanging smug looks as if they'd won a game only they knew they were playing. Leah, holding back tears, sat upright, her face pale but determined not to give them the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Hours passed, the two guards occasionally making snide comments and chuckling at her expense. Leah kept repeating softly, "I didn't do anything wrong," though no one seemed to hear her words. Meanwhile, Max had reached Leah's apartment, banging on the door until her mother, Sarah, opened up. "Mrs. Sarah," he gasped. The guards took Leah. They said she was causing trouble, but she didn't do anything. Sarah's heart sank. She couldn't imagine what had happened, but she knew Leah and trusted her completely. Thanking Max, she quickly grabbed her keys and headed out, her mind racing with worry and disbelief. When Sarah arrived at the station, she walked in with calm, quiet determination. Leah spotted her mother immediately, relief flooding her face as she called out, "Mom." The guards glanced up, their confident expressions flickering with surprise as they realized who had entered. Sarah, ignoring their stares, approached Leah, kneeling beside her to offer a reassuring hug. Once Leah was calm, Sarah turned to the guards, her voice steady but sharp. "I'd like to know why my daughter was brought here in such a manner. Care to explain?" Miller stumbled over his words. She was being disrespectful, ma'am. We thought she needed a lesson." But Sarah was unimpressed, her expression unyielding. "A lesson? For walking with friends? And you felt it necessary to intimidate a child for that?" The guards, realizing they had misjudged the situation, muttered apologies, but Sarah cut them off. "Your job is to protect this community, not to harass the children in it. This is not how you teach respect." She took Leah's hand, leading her out of the station without another word. But Sarah knew this was far from over. Once home, she contacted the neighborhood association and reported the incident, determined to address not just Leah's experience, but the broader issue of the guards' approach to their work. Days later, Miller and Jonas were summoned by the association to explain their actions, facing potential reassignment and mandatory training. The director, an advocate for building community trust, decided to assign them to a local youth engagement program where they would work directly with kids from the area. Over the following months, Miller and Jonas attended sessions with children and families, learning about the impact of authority on young people and discussing ways to foster safer, more respectful interactions. At first, they felt resentful, but as they spent time with the families, listening to their stories, they began to see things differently. In time, Miller found himself reevaluating his own assumptions, wondering why he'd reacted so harshly toward Leah and her friends. Jonas, too, grew to understand how his behavior had alienated the very people he was supposed to protect. One day, Miller and Jonas approached Sarah at a community event, nervously asking if they could apologize to Leah. Sarah considered their request, assessing the sincerity in their expressions. "Leah deserves to hear it from you," she said finally, "but don't think a simple apology is all it takes. Showing respect to everyone, especially young people, should be a part of your everyday work." The guards nodded, realizing this was only the beginning of their journey toward change. The following afternoon, Leah entered the community center's office, her mother Sarah by her side. Standing before her were Miller and Jonas, looking more like hesitant students than seasoned guards. Miller cleared his throat, his voice faltering. "We were sorry, Leah. Truly, we didn't understand the harm we were doing, but we see it now. We're so sorry." Leah gazed at them thoughtfully, her young eyes carrying a depth beyond her years. After a long pause, she nodded slowly. "I forgive you," she said softly, "but I hope you'll be better from now on, so no one else feels hurt like that." The room was quiet, her words resonating with a gentle power that left both guards humbled. Sarah placed a reassuring hand on Leah's shoulder, pride radiating from her. Leah's quiet strength reminded Sarah that her daughter was growing into someone wise and empathetic, someone capable of making real change. As Leah and her mother left, Miller and Jonas watched, feeling the weight of their choices. From then on, whenever Leah walked past the center or crossed paths with them on their rounds, she was greeted warmly. "Hi, Leah," Miller would call out, smiling genuinely. "What's new today?" Leah would smile back, feeling a new sense of belonging. "I learned about planets today. Did you know Jupiter has more than 70 moons?" Her interactions with the guards transformed into genuine conversations, and the two men often found themselves learning from her childlike curiosity and wisdom. Leah wasn't just a kid to them anymore. She was someone who had helped them change. When Leah's birthday came around, her mother organized a celebration in the neighborhood's community hall, inviting family, friends, and the broader community. The gathering was a testament to the strength and unity they'd built, a chance to celebrate resilience and newfound friendships. As a surprise, Miller and Jonas showed up, each carrying a small gift wrapped with care, hoping to honor the girl who had impacted their lives so profoundly. The party was vibrant with music, laughter, and the scent of homemade food filling the hall. The children ran around, playing games and chasing balloons, while the adults shared stories and enjoyed the joyous atmosphere. At one point, Miller and Jonas found a quiet moment with Leah out in the garden, away from the crowd. Miller handed her a small gift. "Happy birthday, Leah," he said warmly. "We hope you like it." Leah opened the gift carefully, revealing a journal with a delicate floral design on the cover. She smiled brightly. "It's beautiful. Thank you so much." Jonas spoke softly, his voice carrying a note of humility. "You know, Leah, it's strange how much can change. A few months ago, we wouldn't have imagined we'd be here, sharing this day with you. I'm grateful for that chance." Leah tilted her head, curious. "What do you mean?" Miller and Jonas exchanged a look before Miller spoke. "When we first saw you and your friends, we weren't seeing you for who you really are. We let our own assumptions get in the way. But your mother, and everything we've experienced since, opened our eyes." Jonas nodded. "We used to think differences were barriers. But now, thanks to you, we understand how much richness there is in learning about others. Diversity doesn't divide us, it brings us closer." Leah hugged the journal to her chest, smiling thoughtfully. "I'm glad you feel that way, and I'm glad we can be friends." Miller looked at her, clearly moved. "You're a remarkable person, Leah. You and your mother showed us more than we'd ever understood. We're better because of you." With a glint of hope in her eyes, Leah replied, "I think if we all keep learning from each other, the world can change." As the evening winded down, Leah and Sarah stood at the door, waving to each guest as they left. When it was time for Miller and Jonas to go, they offered one last wave from their patrol car. Before they left, Sarah exchanged a few words with them. "I see real change in you both," she said kindly. It's a reminder that it's never too late to grow and change. Miller smiled with a hint of gratitude. We're grateful for the chance to see things differently, to try to be better, Jonas added. Thank you for opening our eyes, both of you. We're proud to be a part of this community with you. As the officers drove away, Sarah placed her arm around Leah, guiding her back inside. You know, she said softly, you've helped them, Leah. You've made this neighborhood a better place. Leah beamed up at her mother, feeling the warmth of everything they'd been through together. I'm glad things are different now. Sarah kissed her on the forehead. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Leah's journey wasn't just a story about a single experience. It was a lesson in compassion, understanding, and the lasting impact of empathy. She hadn't just changed two people. She'd set an example for the entire community. And as time passed, others noticed the shift, inspired by the kindness and resilience she showed. In her quiet, courageous way, Leah helped open hearts, building a community that was a little kinder, more accepting, and ready to learn and grow together.